slugging, extra base hits, 6 homers, 22 RBIs, and he has scored 15 runs. So here's Whalen starting for the second time against the Nats in a week.
Yeah, last time he gave up 6 runs on 6 hits and 5 innings of work, struck out 5 Nats, didn't walk one. His fastball, 2-seamer, 89 miles an hour, not going to overpower you, has to mix it up, all the cliches. Use the corners, keep the ball down. You know the drill. He didn't keep the ball down last time, thus the 6 runs. Here's the defense behind Rob Whalen. Kemp and Ciarte Markakis the outfield. The rookie Dansby Swanson at short, Garcia at third, Peterson second, Freeman first, and Tyler Flowers behind the plate. And there's the first pick in last year's draft, Dansby Swanson, and he had 2 hits last night. His major league debut. We're excited to watch him play.
Yeah, and the only thing about it is he was drafted overall #1 by somebody else, not the Atlanta Braves. How about that pickup in a deal?
Well, it's already a good deal in my opinion, just with Ciarte. But let's check out Trey Turner and what he's been doing lately. This was last time against Rob Whalen, who, by the way, is a 14th starting pitcher for the Braves this year. Turner turned one around. You remember it was a warm night in Nats Park. That ball seemed to stay in the air forever. His 2nd home run of the year. Remember the first one was in Arizona, 451 feet.
Finally ready for some baseball. The crew chief has the plate tonight. That's 27-year veteran Tom Hallion. Dan Bellino, first base, 21-year veteran Phil Kazee at second, and Adam Hamari is at third base. So here's Turner, 3 for 3 in that game with that solo home run against Rob Whalen. 8:26 on the East Coast, and we are underway. That one off speed, fades inside. So Turner, 7-game hitting streak, 13 for 33, 315 overall.
So I have a Trey Turner
fouled straight back.
I have a Trey Turner stat, Carp, that I've been sitting on for an hour and a half.
Okay.
He's got 6 triples in 30 games. That comes out to what? 30 triple season. The record is Chief Nilsson in 1886, who had 36 triples.
36.
I think he can hit 36 triples in a year. I really do. Doesn't that sound crazy? But
yeah,
6 in 30 games, why not? He's got pop and speed. Usually guys that hit triples don't have the pop to get it into the gaps to do that.
That's a great stat, and let's keep an eye on it and see when number 7 comes. It's a breaking ball that goes outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, 6 triples already in the top 7 in the league. So look out, all you guys ahead. After tonight, 42 more games. Turner, great take, not biting, 3-2.
Side swing. Pretty clear he didn't go.
Pretty big rip on a pitch up. So the Nats come into the night with a .254 batting average, highest in a while. Still 8th in the league in that department. Jason Worth on base, 45 games in a row. Nats are 2nd in home runs, 4th in runs scored. Turner up the middle. It's going to be a base hit. Even if Dansby Swanson gets to that, no chance, and Trey Turner has an 8-game hitting streak.
Freddie Freeman probably saying something to Trey Turner, the fact that it's not this easy, but he's making it look super easy. So there goes a no-hitter. Trey Turner on first base, and the fun starts now.
Now those are 2 of the hottest hitters in the league right there. Freddie Freeman's on a roll, and so is the Nats rookie. So here's Jason Worth. He's hit safely 6 of his last 7 games. His hitting streak came to an end yesterday in Denver, but he did walk his 2nd time up, hit a sac fly for RBI number 54, his 5th time up. Trey Turner, 12 for 13.
Jason Worth talking to Tom Hallion about something.
Right-handed pitcher. Umpire is on the arm side of the right-hander, but Adam Hamari, or rather Phil Cuzzi, not moving anywhere.
Jason always moves the umpire on the other side. He feels like it's a distraction watching the pitch come out of the umpire. I think he still wants him on the other side.
Well, when he's facing a lefty, the umps are okay about moving to where Cuzzi is right now. Way outside. Whalen overall 1-1 with a 7.31 ERA, fourth start. And up in the zone to even things up. Trying to get aboard and tie the all-time franchise record of 46 by Rusty Staub. Doesn't hurt when Daniel Murphy's sitting behind you. Nats getting a good look at that slider. They're not biting. He's missed away on several occasions.
Trey Turner's been here for 30 games. Jason Worth's streak is at 45. I think Turner's had a direct effect on Jason Worth and him being in 2-1, 2-0, 3-1 counts. Pitchers are so worried about Turner. Jason Worth has feasted hitting behind him.
Two-one pitch. Out of play. High in the air, right side. Let's go inside some early numbers brought to you by Jeep. So consecutive games reaching base in the National League over the last 5 years. Worth about to tie Michael Cuddyer and Joey Votto within sight in this series. Two-two pitch. Turner on the run, pitch in the dirt. Good throw, but way late. And Trey Turner is 13 out of 14, swiping one on Tyler Flowers and the pitcher.
Pretty good throw by Tyler Flowers in the wet dirt here. Watch this slow Trey Turner down a little bit in his slide. Well, a little bit. And you remember the one time he was caught stealing was by Buster Posey. The Giants had to challenge it. They overturned the call. He was initially called safe, and then you looked at the replay, split-second decision. The ball got him on the hip right as his hand was almost to the base, so he could easily be 14 for 14.
Full count to Worth now, nobody out. Turner jumping toward third, and Jason Worth will foul it. There's another interesting note on Turner. Right now, 4 stolen bases away from being in the top 10 in the league for the whole year.
He's faster than the league. I'm serious. I think he could break the triple record. He's got gap pop. He's got home run pop.
Three-two again. Worth a swing and a miss on a pitch breaking away.
A pretty good slider right here by Rob Whalen. Obviously Jason thinking fastball on a full count. Gets the slider, and I'll see if Trey Turner decides to steal third even with a lefty up. He's got that kind of speed.
And Swanson will play up the middle behind him as they shift on Murphy. Little tapper right in front of the plate. Tyler Flowers will handle it. He'll throw on to Freddie Freeman. Turner rounded the bag at third. He's there with 2 outs.
Well, raise your hand at home if you thought Trey Turner was going to come around third and score. He thought about it for a second, but don't forget Freddie Freeman has a really good arm. You don't often get to see it because he plays first, but he has a cannon. So Trey Turner hit the brakes. And here comes Bruce Harper.
They love him in Atlanta.
They're not booing, they're chanting Bruce.
That great April that Bryce got off to started right here, right on opening day, right from the get-go in game 1.
Yeah, his first at-bat of the year was a tater.
He was not in the lineup in D.C. last Saturday when Whalen pitched. Bryce coming off a Colorado series with 5 hits, 4 walks, 4 RBIs.
Boy, he's got that shortstop thing wide open. Look at the shift. Remember yesterday, right where the shortstop has been playing for a long time, but he wasn't there, so it was a base hit.
That was his first time up. Leadoff single, ended up scoring. He can drive in a run with 1 here. Bryce 62 batted in. Two and 0.
Pretty hot hitter on deck if they choose to pitch around Bryce. Anthony Rendon had a couple of hits yesterday. That's a pitch around.
Yep, 3-0.
Still have to be ready here in case he lays one right down the middle with the green light.
Four in a row, and Bryce walks for the 88th time this year. Well, here's the Rendon Whalen matchup. Anthony was 0 for 3 against him in that game last week. He's been hitting just about everybody else lately. On base percentage right on the verge of breaking 350, hitting a click under 270.
Trying to get a toe hold right down that batter's box.
Operating from the first base side of that pitching rubber, Whalen gets it right in there.
Anthony Rendon's been doing so well lately. You pitch him away, he goes with it. You try to bust him in, he turns on it. Remember earlier in the year, he was trying to force everything to right field. Dusty Baker said, hey, if it's in, turn on it. Do some damage, and he has. Bat's quick, swings short. He's been waiting a long time and taking the ball right out of a catcher's glove.
Just missing a close pitch, 1-1. Dusty's ball club still 8.5 up on Miami, losing 2 out of 3 in Colorado, but losing no ground. 21 games over 500.
The best thing about that Rockies series was getting on the plane at Stapleton yesterday and leaving. That's just top baseball there, man. That's nuts. You forget until you go back.
Quite a rip at a 90 heater. Counts 1-2. Bob Henley in the foreground, checking out Dusty. So there's the division. Jose Fernandez striking a lot of Cincinnati Reds out so far tonight. Mets at San Francisco later behind Jacob deGrom. Third base Turner, first base Harper. Whalen, a slow work rate throughout this top of the first inning. It's a pitch he struck out Jason Worth with, and Anthony Rendon seeing it for a while in the zone, able to lay off.
For a young pitcher in the big leagues to start to walk off the mound and then throw his head up in the air, that'll get a veteran umpire's attention every single time. Looked like it was away. Umpires don't like that.
Two-two. Similar pitch, similar take. And now Bryce Harper will get a head start at first base.
Looks like he's still a little flustered from that 2-2 pitch. The 1-2 pitch.
He hasn't done much challenging in this first inning. Just everything nibbling away. And Rendon will hit one high in the air to left. Approaching the seats. Matt Kemp is there and he drops it. 2 runs will score. Turner home, Harper home, and the Nationals have a 2-run first inning. Gift wrapped by the left fielder. Matt Kemp, first error as a Brave, 3rd of the year.
Well, I thought we were about to go to break, and I was going to try to chime in, not in Colorado anymore, because that would have been a home run in Colorado. Matt Kemp, for some reason, watch him overrun that and then take his eye off it at the end. He went too far. Maybe the ball drifted back a little bit. It's not windy at all here at Turner Field, and nobody feels worse about that one right now than Matt Kemp. The Nats will take a gift wrap 2 here in the top of the first.
2-base error, no RBIs. Here's Robinson. Strike call. So Clinton the lineup tonight at first, moving Murphy over to second, which moves Turner to center. Clint's been good in starting roles lately. Last 17 starts, 266 with 10 RBIs on 3 homers. Counts even, 1-1. And he drops the breaking pitch in there.
You got to give Bryce Harper a little credit there in the 3-2 count of busting it all the way from first base, right? How many times you see a base runner just kind of chill and think, all right, he's going to catch it. He ran hard all the way to third, and then when he was on third, you realized that Kemp dropped it and geared back up, but he was busting it all the way to third.
Good observation and good base running. Target in, 1-2. Robinson pulls it. It's a fair ball. Freddie Freeman to Whalen, and that's it. Braves securing that baseball, but not the one before. It'll cost him 2 runs and a couple for Lopez with which to work. Lon Matson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by visitannapolis.org. Create your moment at visitannapolis.org. The number 715 still big in this town. Hammer and Hank, Henry Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record. Go on to hit about 40 more in his big league career. So here come the Braves, 12th in the league in hitting, last in the big leagues in runs and homers. And their young phenom, Dansby Swanson, 2 for 4 in his major league debut last night. They like his makeup. He was asked by a reporter yesterday, what do you want to accomplish the first couple of days or weeks here in the big leagues? He said, I want to learn about the game of baseball at this level. Good answer.
Yeah, it beats the I got this thing nailed. Pay me.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2 for 4 every day.
Give me a 5-year deal after a 2 for 4 night. This game's easy is what he should have said.
So here's the other guy they got with that deal. Diamondbacks for Shelby Miller.
There's the arsenal for Ronaldo. Fastball averaging 96 miles an hour. Curveball change to go with it. Used the curveball and change much more his last start. And that was against the Braves on the 13th. 7-6 winner. His first big league win. Gave up just 1 run in 7 innings. Remember, it got a little hairy after that, but the Nats hung on for the 7-6 win.
Yeah, what appeared to be a comfortable first W, hanging by a thread until the very last pitch of the game. Up and in, and Inciarte moved out of there. Ender Inciarte is swinging a good bat right now, 10 for 30 during a 6-game hitting streak. He was 0 for 4 against the Nats rookie in that game. Working a little quickly for the hitter. And this one to the left of Danny Espinosa. Picks it up to Robinson. First out.
Let's set the defense for you tonight behind Ronaldo Lopez, Worth, Turner, Harper, the outfield, Espinosa, Rendon, the left side of the infield occasionally. Murphy, Robinson will be on the right side mostly, and Pedro Severino behind the plate. Trey Turner back in center, and Pedro Severino behind the plate after his first big league homer yesterday in Coors Field.
Cool. And not to be forgotten, the fact that these two worked together last time. And Reynaldo Lopez got 10 outs on ground balls in those 7 innings of work. There's Adonis Garcia hitting .265. Pitch away, tried to get to it. Garcia 0 for 2 against Lopez. Up the middle, and the Braves have their first base hit. Right in front of the hot Freddie Freeman.
Well, he saw the high target by Severino. He wanted that just a little bit higher, maybe above the Braves logo, because they know that Garcia is a swinger. He likes to hack.
Freeman hitting .288 now, on base percentage over .380, and he has a new career high in home runs. He hit his 10th, actually his 24th. He's 10th in the league in home runs, tied with Matt Kemp, but this is new home run territory for Freddie Freeman.
Now, the times the Nats have had success with Freddie, it's been up and in. The fastball, the top left-hand corner of the strike zone, if you're looking from center field, right up underneath his hands. It's one of the few pitches that he really struggles with consistently.
.59 extra base hits, 4th in the league. Daniel Murphy up there right behind Rizzo. Freeman was 5 for 9 against the Nats last weekend with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Great breaking ball right off the table under his bat.
There's a curveball from Ronaldo, and this one's a beauty. Look at the late break. He's sitting fastball all the way out in front. But that was dirty.
Target away. Yeah, he went to the opposite field with a home run with an up and away pitch last weekend. Then he got one down low and rifled it out to right. 7-game hitting streak for Freeman. And he looked like Daniel Murphy spoiling that pitch.
No, he's good at doing that with 2 strikes. He gets the cricket swing out and just flips it wherever to buy himself another pitch. That was a good pitch. Even Murph can appreciate that one, standing second-ish, wherever he's standing over there. Short right field.
Swing and a miss on 98. Upstairs. First strikeout, Lopez.
The effortless 98. Ronaldo reaching back to get Freddie Freeman. Look at this. 98 miles an hour, the alarm side run, and then give me that ball back. I just struck out Freddie Freeman. With almost 100, Freeman tardy, as most hitters would be. What a pitch. I'd like to see that. Go right after him.
Matt Kemp 1 for 3 against Lopez last week. 222 for the Braves in 15 games. Is that good curveball again?
Tell you what, if you throw a fastball 98, your curveball's 18 miles an hour slower with nasty break, this is the best stuff we've seen from him. Yeah. And you know Matt Kemp has one thing on his mind. He wants to make up for that error.
So with Freeman and Kemp back to back, 2 guys who've done plenty of damage over the years against Washington pitching. There's that fastball up again. He's in challenge mode.
I'll tell you what, if Matt Kemp makes a commitment and his body will let him make the commitment in the offseason to get in the kind of shape he was as a Los Angeles Dodger, he could be a force in this league again. But a lot of times later in your career, after playing a long season, your body won't let you work out as hard as you need to get into shape just because of all the miles on the car. You want to work out hard, you want to get after it, you want to run up hills like Jerry Rice did when he was a 49er, stuff like that. But then when you're in your 30s, sometimes you can't. So it's hard to get back to that shape even if you have it in you.
Yeah, Matt Kemp, 31 years of age, should have a lot of baseball ahead. Off speed. That's pitching right there. Showing them the 98 and then getting a couple of guys out with other pitches. Good first inning for Lopez with a 2-run lead. Washington 0-1-1 Atlanta. Nats Plus members and season plan holders. The Nats postseason and renewal process, well, it's underway. It has been for a while. The deadline now to purchase your tickets, only 13 days away, August 31st. If you renew for 2017 by that same date, you'll receive an extra postseason ticket offer. Log into your Nationals Access account, contact your account rep, or email ticketinfo@nationals.com. Do it now. Espinosa, Severino, Lopez, 7-8-9, top of the second. 30th pitch for Rob Whalen.
Hit.
Danny for the left side, 221, 219 overall.
I talked to Danny. He told me he found a little something in his swing in Colorado from a rhythm standpoint.
Okay.
Actually trying to go the other way the other day and ended up pulling the baseball, but say he's feeling better up there. Seeing the ball better and going deeper into counts.
On base twice yesterday with a base hit and a walk. That's a strike call. So he was on base in Colorado 3 times, had a sacrifice bunt, scored a run yesterday. There's Pedro Severino. Coors Field, where he hit his first career home run. He's only 6 for 13, by the way, in 6 games. Three-two pitch, and he takes it. Leadoff walk. Nationals have their leadoff man aboard for the second time. Brian Snitker and his pitching coach Roger McDowell have watched their young starter do a lot of nibbling early in this game. So that's a second walk issued already. Pedro Severino will be next. Homer, 2 RBIs, a couple of strikeouts, 2 walks in 6 big league games this year. Right on the edge. Severino saw Whalen twice in that game, went 0 for 2.
Yeah, had to feel good to hit your first big league tater in Colorado yesterday.
Towering drive.
Off the bench too, a pinch hit home run. It's not easy. I just love the way that he and Defoe are adding energy to this ball club when they get their chance. Runs good game back there, good tempo. This could be a good big league catcher.
Yeah, active behind the plate. Very cool that he's been able to work with Reynaldo Lopez at the big league level several times.
Tell you what, Ronaldo's stuff tonight is electric. The most electric we've seen so far.
Yeah, 22-year-old in the box, 22-year-old on deck, working together very well.
early returns, just one inning, but it was a pretty impressive inning.
Pitch up and Severino trying to hop all over it.
Where's the home run off the bench yesterday at Coors Field? No stride, just a little knee tuck and go with that front leg. And he would get the ball in return for an autograph ball, and forgot to flaw Daniel Murphy at the end. I think Dan caught up with him in the clubhouse today and was asking about him.
1-2 pitch. Had him lunging, did Whalen. Pop up left side for Garcia. First out, second inning. For more on the young catcher, here's Dan.
Bob, I did indeed talk to Pedro Severino about the lack of a flaw. He said everyone was beating him up so badly, slamming him on the helmet, that he didn't really see the double, the high 10, I guess, from Daniel Murphy coming. It kind of caught him by surprise. He's still new to the big leagues, so he needs to get accustomed to the flaw. But he said next time he'd be sure to look out for the high 10, have both hands ready, and we'll have to listen, see if he's picked up on the flaw thing that's been going around this ball club.
Yeah, 159 of them. Lopez squaring early, lays it down, deadens it perfectly. Reynaldo has his first big league sacrifice. Scoring position for the speedy Danny Espinosa now with 2 outs. And it's Trey Turner, base hit, stolen base, run scored, first time up.
Nice bunt. Get some props when you get back to the dugout. Trey Turner's been clutch with 2 outs this year. Runner in scoring position.
Right at the knees on the breaking ball. Turner long at bat. There's some of that success with runners in scoring position. 12 of his 15 RBIs. Worked it to a long count first time up and then simply took the ball up the middle. Bob Henley ready for some 2-out action. He hasn't walked that much, just 4 times, but we've seen him with some really good takes.
I mean, he's going so good, he's taking strikes and they're calling him balls. That's how locked in he is.
Mercedes-Benz on that pitch track. Sliders away to all the right-handers with the occasional heater. Whalen's already walked 2 batters. Worth on deck. Probably made his best pitch of the night when he struck out Jason.
Yeah, pretty good arm in center with Inciarte. He can really throw. I think Markakis has an accurate, probably a little above average arm. And I think he can run on Matt Kemp.
Another full count. Up the middle, deflected off the pitcher. The race is on, and they just got him on a 1-4-3 via Jace Peterson. Putting pressure on the defense at all times. 2-0 Washington.
Talking to Pedro Severino about some flaws. I talked to him earlier today about Reynaldo Lopez and what impressed him the most about the right-hander his last time out when he went 7 strong innings. He said it's that he was able to throw all of his pitches for strikes. He heard in Reynaldo's first start he threw too many fastballs, so he really wanted to mix in more off-speed the last couple times out. He said they can hit fastballs here even if it's 98. Reynaldo has told Pedro that his curve is his best secondary pitch, but he didn't really have as good a feel for it his last start. So Pedro went heavy on the changeup with his right-hander. He actually feels that might be his better of the 2 secondary options, but said that it's huge that he's able to throw both of those for strikes going forward. He's got the fastball, obviously. Secondary stuff is going to pose a major, major benefit for him if he can locate.
First pitch fastball, second inning. That's Dan with Akuns.com. Sideline report: over 2 million vehicles sold and counting. Here's Nick Markakis hitting .269. A couple of numbers jumped out at me today on the Braves. Markakis, 8 homers, 64 RBIs. Freddie Freeman, 24 home runs, 56 RBIs. Freddie has not had many guys on in front of him this year. FP touched on the arrival of Kemp helping protect him better in the lineup now than he has been with this year. But I don't know if I've ever seen a guy with 24 homers and under 60 runs batted in. Kind of crazy. Kemp has 24 with 76. He's playing some good old country hardball here in Atlanta right now. It's another 98. And Lopez has fanned 3 in a row.
But jumping out of his hand, he's locating the fastball on top of 98. And the curveball so far has been a wiffle ball curveball. Sharp, quick, and late.
3 good hitters in a row. Here's Tyler Flowers, the catcher. Up the middle, big hop. Then a low throw, and Danny's going to get an error on that bouncer to Clint Robinson. That'll be his 10th of the year. That ball really came up, but he did have plenty of time.
But he's kind of eased it over there, didn't use the big arm. You see the Sunday hop, he gets his feet underneath him, kind of peeks at the runner and tries to feather it to Clint Robinson, and doing so left it short. Yeah, not an easy pick for Clint. He chose to let it get deep instead of going out there and getting it. But if Danny could do it over again, he'd use that arm of his a little more.
That'll bring in Jace Peterson. Lopez walked him last week. Peterson 0 for 2 in his other ABs. Nats have turned 112 double plays on the year, 5th most in the National League. Been able to throw that curveball for strikes. Counts even.
Yeah, get him off that 1-0 heater, right? Exactly what Dan's talking about. I mean, he's pitching. He did it last time against the Braves too. He threw the curveball, the changeup way more. Percentages were up.
And the fastball away.
You know, you go back to the dugout as a hitter, guys will quiz you. What's he got? What's a fastball look like? A lot of times you say, oh, it's sinking, it's cut, it's got late life. There's certain guys when they ask you, it's all you do is just raise your eyebrows. And I guarantee you, there's a few guys in the Braves dugout right now when they said, how's this fastball look? It's all he had to do is raise their eyebrows.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you saw the board. It said 98. Swing and a miss on 97 upstairs. 4 of the last 5 down swinging.
Yeah, just fastball up. I mean, it looks big to a hitter up there when it's right at your eyes, but when it's 97, you cannot catch up. It's almost impossible.
Dansby Swanson gets a big time hand from the Braves fans. They've been hearing about him. He became their property December 8th with Ender Inciarte. And right-handed pitcher Aaron Blair for Shelby Miller and left-hander Gabe Spire. And it's been a rough ride for Shelby Miller in Arizona. Single A Carolina, Double A Mississippi, a combined 275 this year. "22 years of age, Georgia kid out of a town called Kennesaw. Played at Marietta High School north of here.
We got the call the other night to go to the big leagues. The first thing he did was call his mom. She didn't answer. Called his dad. She didn't answer. Called his agent. He didn't answer. And he's going nuts. I called the big leagues. He finally texted his mom and said, "Mom, answer the phone." She said, "I can't. I'm in church." He said, "No, you have to answer the phone." So obviously he got through and told everybody he was going to the big leagues.
Cool. Fastball is in there, 2-1.
And when you talk to the Braves people, apparently in spring training, he went around to everybody's locker, shook their hand, looked them in the eye and said, "I'm Dansby Swanson, pleased to meet you." He's supposed to be a great kid from what everybody says.
Yeah, makeup off the charts.
You like to hear stories like that.
Out of that amazing East Cobb League here in the Atlanta area. Went to Vanderbilt. 3 College World appearances, College World Series appearances for the Commodores. Arizona took him as the #1 overall just last year. So there are his combined numbers at Carolina and Mississippi. Wow. 98 with command and location. The last 5 outs, swinging strikeouts for Reynaldo Lopez. 1-1-0-1-1. Interesting line score so far. Join us at Nationals Park next Wednesday and Thursday for the Beltway Series presented by Innova. Watch the Nats and Orioles renew their annual rivalry. Postseason hopes, aspirations for both. Visit nationals.com/tickets and don't forget to rock the red at the ballpark next week.
Tell them to go Caps, rock the red. Let's see where.
Summer style.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Ronaldo Lopez through 2 innings has been as impressive as any pitcher we've seen this year, period. No hit stuff if it wasn't for Adonis Garcia. You'd be thinking about
up the middle.
Yeah, you'd be thinking about it.
Worth, Murphy, Harper, top of the third. Jason struck out swinging first time on a slider away, worked it to a full count. That one drops in, strike one.
They were like Danby Swanson, #1 pick, 98. You know, he's a good kid, 98. He's going to be a big leaguer, good big leaguer someday, 98.
Inning over.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah. Oh, 2 now. That is going to be in there. There's the familiar Tom Hallion strike 3 call. And Jason Worth gone for the second time. Nissan will track it.
I think it started on the plate, but where did it end up? Look where Tyler Flowers is setting up in the left-handed batter's box. That's flashbacks to the old Braves days down here, where Javi Lopez used to set up in the dugout and he'd get strikes called. Not that I'm still bitter about it or anything. Set up in the on-deck circle, Maddox with his glove, strike 3.
Turns one over on Daniel Murphy, who bounced one in front of the plate first time up. Thrown out at first.
Although I think Eddie Perez used to catch Mike Maddox, or Greg Maddox the most.
Yeah.
They had a good video on the board here during the rain delay where, in Greg Maddox's rookie year as a Cub, he started a game where Mike Maddox was starting for the Phillies, and they both got base hits off each other.
Knowing the two, they didn't just lay it in there either. Little brother competition.
Well, Mike was saying on the big screen that it was the most comfortable at bat he ever had as a big leaguer because he knew everything that was coming and how it would move. And he had a chopper down the third baseline that he beat out. And then Greg was telling the story about his hit off Mike, that it was a bullet down the line. And they said the older each other gets, the harder their hits were against each other.
Of course.
It's good stuff.
Murphy lifting one high in the air, slicing well out of play. Let's go back to last Saturday, Murph and Whalen.
Murph Whalen off Whalen. And then the slider that just kind of spun up there, and the Daniel Murphy finish with the bat out in front, walking down the line, following it, and then flaws for everybody. See ya.
That was Daniel's most recent home run, his 22nd of the year. Man knows how to celebrate and have fun. 2-2 with one out. He's going to fight that one off down and in. And the young shortstop Swanson out to grab it. 2 down here in the third.
You know what the Braves have to fight against is when you don't have a lot going as a ball club and you're rebuilding and you call up a young air quote phenom, not to hang too much on a young player's shoulders. You know, as you're looking for an identity as an organization right now, what is it? You know, which way are you going? So you call up a young kid on a ball club that's not winning. boy, you can really wear him out with the media, with the responsibilities, and I'm sure the Braves know that you can't hang everything on one player. You just wear him out.
Bryce Harper walked first time, ended up scoring when Rendon, the next hitter, hit that high fly ball that Matt Kemp dropped.
See Bryce hit his helmet right there with the bat and almost knocked his helmet in front of his eyes right as the pitch was coming.
Harper taking all the way. Bryce's career against Atlanta pitching. .273, 15 and 35 the numbers.
I think the difference with Bryce too is he came up to a winning ball club. But he did inject a lot of life into that 2012 team when he got called up.
I was told by a longtime Braves broadcaster, our old friend Don Sutton, that Swanson probably won't be a defensive whiz like Andrelton Simmons, but he might be Alan Trammell at shortstop for the next 15 years for this club if all goes well.
That's high praise.
It is, because you're talking about one of the most consistent players that ever played that position.
After one game, that's high praise.
Harper on the pitch away, strikes out. 5 in a row retired by Whalen, maybe getting his evening in order. The Nats by 2. And with a moment in history right here, there's Drew Storen. Upton ground ball right side. Scooped up. Cabrera. LaRoche. September 16, 2014. The Nats clinch the division. What a night for Tanner Roark and the guys in the clubhouse.
That does not get old, and hopefully the Nats get to do that again this year.
5 hits, no runs, 7 innings for Tanner that night.
That was the night where there was no wrong pipe.
Whalen takes ball 1 low and away. Two for 5 is a big league hitter with a sacrifice. It's up and in. It was kind of cool after that game that night. The Braves had a post-game concert on the field. All the Nats families and kids were out there. It's kind of taking the party from in the clubhouse, bringing it outside, having a wonderful time late into the evening. right outside that dugout. 2-1 pitch and a foul. Jose Lobaton's in town. Where's Ryan Zimmerman?
Nats are back here early September. Is that?
That would be early. Look at that pitch.
All right, we got some strikeout news to tell you about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far for Reynaldo. And here's 5 of them. You just saw the 6th, but just some cheese. Easy cheese, too. So far in this one, Reynaldo, you look marvelous.
1 for 9 go the Braves. First time through, 6 Ks. Fastball right in there to Ender Inciarte. He made contact to lead off the game. A ground ball to Danny Espinosa. Only 2 balls for outs put into play. Except Danny threw short to first base. And how about that hammer?
Well, this is the difference maker. Yeah, we can sit here and get excited about 98 with location, and that's amazing in and of itself. But if you're going to drop the wiffle ball curve in there on top of it, well, hitters are cheating to get to your 98.
Yeah, and occasionally we do take our Nissan pitch track and really downshift hard, and that's what he did. One-two pitch. Fighting one off, literally, Ender Inciarte.
I think if you throw a fastball up, he fouls it off. You drop a hammer right here, he's going to think it's another fastball. A good chance of strikeout number 7.
1-2 with 1 out.
Wouldn't strike long enough. Good idea.
Wow. 81 straight down. 7 strikeouts out of 8 outs registered. All swinging.
So you throw the fastball up, and you have to get going early as a hitter when it's 98. So look at Inciarte. He's thinking he can't throw 2 curveballs in a row, right? He just missed. So I'm sitting on a fastball with 2 strikes, which you have to when it's upper 90s, and then he drops that on him. Good luck.
There's Garcia, who has the game's only hit for the Braves. A bouncer up the middle, clean single.
If he starts throwing that and stealing strikes with a curveball, whew.
The heater looks like it's about 103.
This is something.
See ya.
Are you kidding me?
We kid you not. 8 strikeouts in 3 innings. Somebody finally took one after all those swings and misses.
Heads up, Max. First inning, Anthony Rendon, who's been super locked in at the plate, hits one deep to left field. It looked like Matt Kemp overran it. Kind of reached back at the last second. Bryce Harper hustling all the way around from first base. And that is a lonely feeling, folks.
Rendon, Robinson, Espinosa. So that ball off that glove, the difference in this game right now. Whalen gets the front side of the strike zone there. That was his 60th pitch of the night to the first batter, 4th inning. Then he works the other side. Whalen, another 22-year-old in this game. Starters born 3 weeks apart. 94. Sometime in the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to have our first major leaguers born in the year 2000. Rendon goes down and gets it on 2-2. The foul ball is upstairs.
I can't wait for Ronaldo Lopez to get back on the mound. It's the most impressive 3 innings I've seen all season long, maybe aside of Max against the Tigers. 98 with command, curveball for a strike early, curveball for a ball late, expanding with the fastball. That's a rough at bat for anybody. Keeps that up, we could be seeing something special here tonight.
Rendon's going to get punched out on a pitch that he thought might have been inside. Checks with Tom Hallion on his way away. Number 4 for Whalen.
He was setting up away, so he saw the reach by Tyler Flowers, and that's probably why I thought that was a ball. Borderline pitch goes the Braves' way.
So he's fanned 3 of the last 4. Flynn Robinson, Danny Espinosa, the next 2 for the Nats.
You got Tanner's game against the Twins in your book over there? You probably don't. That was probably a scorebook ago, huh?
Yeah, I usually travel with both books from the same season. Somebody pulled one on me at home, and I looked in my bag and I have a book from '08. I don't know how that happened. So sorry, but
I'm thinking he had 8 through 3 or something close to that.
That sounds familiar. They have digital archives in our truck. They'll be checking.
He struck out 15 that day against the Twins. And then Max against the Tigers. I think it was something similar too.
Off speed, Robinson out ahead of it. Home run distance. Well foul. So Mike Maddox chatting with the guys And then he'll be all locked in along with his pitcher when Lopez gets back out there. Two with one out. Robinson on a nasty pitch diving. Another K for Rob Whalen. When you have insight, you know how to handle your finances with confidence. As we check in on Matt Skoll, the 27-year-old third baseman at Syracuse, just under 250, but he's always been a strong hitter, a lot of power, good numbers, 58 runs with those 68 batted in.
He's on fire right now. 4 home runs in his last 8 games.
It's all brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you. Matt Skoll just had a birthday about 3 weeks ago. 28 years of age now. Been in the minor leagues with the Nats for a long time out of Georgia Tech. One ball, one strike. Danny a walk first time. And this one tailing back to Matt Kemp. Listen to the crowd. They love it, and the inning is over in the top of the fourth. The fourth inning of Nationals baseball brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid. All-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com. Tonight,
Max Scherzer also had 8 Ks through 3 innings. On Friday, August 26th, the first 25,000 fans received the second of 2 Max Scherzer no-hit bobbleheads. That's presented by PNC. Plus, just announced Washington Senators legend Frank Howard Hondo will be inducted in the Ring of Honor prior to the game. Don't miss this special night at Nats Park. Visit nationals.com/ticket. All right, that is really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Frank Howard back in the ballpark. What a man. Here's Freddie Freeman, bottom of the fourth. Curveball under his hands, ball 1. And then up on his hands, strike 1. Lopez through 3 innings, 48 pitches, 36 strikes. Well, Severino wanted that fastball elevated. Now it's strike two.
Wants it up there again. Look at the target.
Yeah, way up. Freeman, that's a soft liner, and Rendon right there on the shift.
Are you ready to win? Follow at Madison Nationals on Twitter and look for our latest retweet contest. You could win autographed Mike Rizzo baseballs, and that's prize pack. All that stuff on the screen. Again, that's at Madison Nationals on Twitter to enter. Brought to you by Cox Communications' new Contour. Get right to the good stuff.
Quite a segue from bobble to real. Here's Kemp. Matt Kemp goes up there swinging. Ball tailing away from Bryce Harper, and that's a fair ball. Hits near the 330 mark, and it'll be a one-out double for Matt Kemp. The Braves' first hit since one out in the first inning.
A 30th double of the year for Matt Kemp. Just a little inside-out swing here. I think the fastball hit his target down in the zone, right where he's been throwing it all night. Matt Kemp just looking for it. Slices one down the right field line. And Bryce Harper did a nice job of holding him to a one-out double instead of a triple.
Yeah, there's some angles down there where the ball can do different things. Next up is Nick Markakis. Strikeout victim number 3, first time up. Off the glove of Severino on a fastball way upstairs. And just waltzing over to third, Matt Kemp. They're going to give Severino a pass ball for that.
Yeah, at 98, it's tough to handle that high. I think you're going to see the Braves game plan change here. If you have a guy with 8 strikeouts through 3 innings, there's no need to wait around. He's established he's throwing strikes. He's also established he's got something to put you away with. So as a hitter, you know, you start going up and down the bench, say, hey, let's go, let's hack. Forget waiting around. This guy's shown us he can throw strikes. Let's get him.
Markakis, 64 runs batted in. All he has to do is hit a ground ball past the mound, and the Braves are on the board.
That hasn't been easy tonight.
Exactly. Target in. 1-1 pitch. 97 out over the plate a bit, but unhittable. 1-2 Mercedes tracks.
Well, run back to that 97, and you can get some plate when you're throwing upper 90s and get away with it. Because you're also throwing your off speed for strikes too. Hasn't really got this elevated fastball where he's wanted it yet tonight. He's left it hittable.
He challenges Markakis, who hits it pretty well to center. Trey Turner's going to wing it home. Look at that throw, 1 hop. But Matt Kemp scores, and it's a 2-1 game. Okay, Trey Turner's got a good outfield arm, doesn't he?
He does. But that's the pitch that he's been trying to elevate tonight, and he's just leaving it below the Braves logo, which has given them opportunities to put it in play. Nice at bat by Nick Markakis with 2 strikes and throwing it out there far enough. You see, Severino was standing up. He wanted that ball above the Braves logo. He left it in the zone. And allowed Markakis to throw it out there far enough to score Matt Kemp.
2 outs, bases empty. Tyler Flowers, the hitter. Reached on the Danny Espinal. Knows a throwing error 2 innings ago. So the pass ball looms large right there. Front door breaking ball, low 2-0. Then the heater.
It's got to feel good for Matt Kemp too to do something, help his team get a run on the board after that error.
Perfect location. 2-2. Inside the Numbers brought to you by Jeep. Average by outs. Well, some numbers going down right there. 9 Ks in 4 innings. That run because of the pass ball is unearned, but the Braves are on the board in a 2-1 game. Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Yeah, what about Chris Sale and Steven Strasburg, all the other big winners? Here's J.A. Happ, his first 17-game winner. He's with the Blue Jays, who are a first-place ball club. Cleveland gets a big boost as Danny Salazar comes back. 11-4 on the year, Nats saw him. And the Rangers, how about Jonathan Lucroy coming over, 7-14. Carlos Beltran hitting over .310. Big trade deadline acquisitions for Texas, and they are 72-50 right now. To the top of the 5th, Severino, Lopez, and Turner.
I think J.A. Happ changed his name to J, and I think I'm going to change my name to Phip. Along those lines. You like that? Should I go with it? Phip. No?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Yeah, it opens up too many possibilities.
Okay. Too tough to say on TV.
One of us has to have 2 syllables.
Yeah, that's
okay?
true. Yeah.
And
by a vowel.
nobody calls me Robert unless I'm really in trouble. Severino pop up to 3rd, first time up. Counts even, 1-1. Got a breaking ball. Line drive to left. And that one down near the left field foul pole. And it'll be a double for Severino. As a big league hitter this year, He is 7 for 15.
Yeah, I was just about to say in the middle of that at bat that just the body language of Pedro Severino reeks of confidence right now and just looks big league. I mean, you talk about passing the eye test, check. And then the home run yesterday, now a leadoff double here in the 5th, trying to answer the Braves' run in the bottom of the 4th. Nice swing by Pedro Severino.
Second big league extra base hit. Lopez looking to do what he did first time, and he deadens another perfect bunt. 2 for 2 on the sacrifices here. Third base, Severino, 1 out. Turner coming up, and a chance for the Nationals to grab that run right back.
Well, this is Purdy. Just makes that first bounce be in the dirt. You see the side spin that deadens it, and Pedro Severino has good wheels, so it didn't have to be this good, but it was. Some more high fives when you get back to the dugout. Job well done.
Infield in. Turner 1 for 2. Hit a ball off the pitcher last time that carried him to Peterson. Target inner half. Turner swing and a miss.
The high five session down there looked like it turned into a mosh pit in a shoving match.
Managers smile, and so do assistant hitting coaches when they see fundamental things done correctly. Breaking ball, Trey takes it, counts even 1-1.
Made it. Turner stepped out and got an extra long sign. I doubt that the squeeze is on. It'd be way too obvious.
One pitch. They want to jam him again. Same as the first one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Up to 80 pitches. He threw 29 in the first inning and then 17 more. Fairly quickly through the 3rd and the 4th, retiring 6 straight. But right now, Trey Turner looking for RBI number 16.
Sinker off the plate to get to that slider away. Possibly. We've seen it a couple of times with Whalen with 2 strikes. 2 pitches inside. Pitchers very rarely throw 3 in the same location. You think they'll go to the other side of the plate here. At least that's the thought process if you can slow it down while you're hitting.
Turner takes a fastball right down the middle. 2 outs. Next 5 ball games, 3 of them here, 2 in Baltimore. Tomorrow night, Tanner Roark will be on the mound. Braves still haven't announced who they are pitching officially. Max Scherzer, Tyrell Jenkins, a rookie, on Saturday night. And then Gio goes against Joel De La Cruz on Sunday. Now we're told Julio Teheran tomorrow. Tanner Roark be trying to win his 14th of the year tomorrow. 6 strikeouts, by the way, for Whalen now. Jason Worth twice, swinging in the first, looking to lead off the 3rd.
Pretty good hack.
1-1 pitch. Fastball up.
He's seeing it big. Borderline pitch goes his way. Maybe top of the zone. Do you think umpires know about Jason's streak?
I think they should. I don't think it should affect how they do their job. Front door breaking ball, and Tom Halligan rings it up. Strike 2.
But if you know a guy has a 45 game on base streak, it doesn't affect your job consciously. Does that make sense? Meaning you probably give him borderline pitches, not really knowing it because you're aware of it.
Probably that along with his reputation for a long time. 2-2 pitch.
Ooh, here we go. Another 3-2 count. Got him with a slider. First time up 3-2.
Yeah, all the guys are up there watching. Worth on a 3-2 pitch. It is fair into the left field corner. 46 games in a row on base and a huge hit that gives the Nationals their 2-run lead back here in the 5th inning, tying the all-time franchise record of Rusty Staub.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. So big league hitters, smart hitters make adjustments, and he went to that slider again at 3-2 count. Jason Worth was ready for it. The extendo swing, reaches out, rolls his wrist, hits it down the corner. And everybody on the top step, that was a top step moment.
Jason Worth, 67th career RBI against the Braves. 55th of the year. That gets Murphy to the plate here. So pick your poison, Rob Whalen, Murphy or Harper. First base open, 2 outs. Strike 1.
14 away from George von Haltren's record in 1893. It's doable, folks. It is. 60 games is a National League record. I think it's super cool. Just my opinion.
What a clutch hit.
And 38 from Ted Williams. I mean, why not? This guy's a machine right now, an on-base machine.
That would be real close to the end of the regular season. So BCFP DK here at Turner Field in Atlanta. The Nats 2 unearned runs on a fly ball dropped by Matt Kemp in the first. Clutch hit, Jason Worth, top of the 5th to make it 3-1. Nats with a pair of doubles here. 2 of their 3 hits all night. Murphy on 0-2 pops it up to Garcia. Whalen's done one thing tonight. He has solved Daniel Murphy 3 times. But it's Severino and Worth teaming up, and a little bit of Nats history right there. Clutch hit by Worth. Reynaldo pitching well. And the Nationals 3-1 after 4.5. Bottom 3 coming up for the Braves. 9 strikeouts on 62 pitches. Great ratio, by the way. 46 strikes. Getting it done at the big league level, looking for his second win. First pitch fastball. It's in there so quick it stays high enough to be a strike to Jace Peterson. Two and one.
Do you think somewhere Rusty Staub is sad tonight?
Rusty's a great guy, very gregarious. I bet he's kind of pleased that we're talking about him. What a great hitter Rusty Staub was. He didn't have that many infield hits in his career. He was just a born hitter. Great eye at the plate, just like that guy. 3-1 pitch. Lopez right in there.
One of the better nicknames in baseball too, right? Rusty Staub.
So Tim Raines and Rusty, their streaks encompassed one season into another. But Jason, all self-contained here in the 16 season.
Which I think is way harder. Especially when you're 37 years old and you're grinding every single day.
That he is.
Rusty Staub had a whole off season to rest.
Yeah, but that streak probably kept him awake at nights in December.
Probably.
First walk issued by Lopez. Dansby Swanson, the number 8 hitter, coming up for his 6th big league at bat. Struck out swinging first time up. Pitcher Whalen on deck. And the first pitch hook, strike one.
When that face card, he was hitting the minors with a fastball. 97-mile-an-hour fastball is what I'm hearing.
He got jammed and hits it a mile high on the infield. Daniel Murphy under it. First out, 5th inning.
Calling all Terps and Hoyas, Tuesday, September 13th is College Rivalry Day. With the purchase of a special ticket, enjoy pregame activities and get a reusable Nationals acrylic cup in your school's colors. Visit nationals.com/college rivalry day for tickets. Mets 7:05. Be there.
Yeah, so we had UVA and Tech, and now Maryland Georgetown. Rob Whalen first time, struck out swinging. Looking for that, make the second out bunt to advance a runner.
Big part of the ball game, 3-1 game. He's competing out there, sticking right around, trying to help himself out.
Man, now it's Lopez looking for the shutdown inning. .96 and untouched, strike two.
pretty good wheels at first base, and Peterson, he just needs to get this down to get the job done. Probably a lot easier said than done against 98.
Yep, it'll go foul and he strikes out. Number 10, Reynaldo Lopez into double digits now. So how about this? $37 times 10 tonight to the Children's Inn of the National Institutes of Health. That's thanks to the Washington area Toyota dealers and Toyota Case for Kids. Ender Inciarte, ground ball to short and a swinging strikeout. Severino setting up away, fastball right there, ball one.
Peterson, 2 stolen bases this year. He's been caught 4 times. Not really a threat, but you probably have to pay a little bit of attention to him. You would think a pesky middle infielder type hitter would have more than 2 stolen bases this late in the season.
And this one, a fly ball to left. Espinosa out in front of Jason Worth. Has it. Another 0 on the board for Reynaldo Lopez. He gets the shutdown inning after they got him a 2-run lead again. The home games remaining before they move into their new ballpark next year, and there is maybe purely defensively the best center fielder of all time. It's debatable. Andrew Jones.
I don't think that's a stretch at all. He played shallower than any center fielder I had ever seen, and he took base hits away and still had the ability to go back and take extra base hits away. And he's the best defensive center fielder I ever played against, so I don't think you're far off with that. I think there's some analytics, sabermetrics that would back you up on that.
Yeah, he'd be a dream for those guys to look at right now.
And he tears down the number and they boo him off the field. Can you believe that? What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, they weren't planning on Bryce Harper batting right after Andrew tears down the number, but here he is. Bryce tonight, first inning walk and a run scored, third inning swinging strikeout. This inning should take Rob Whalen over 100 pitches. He hasn't done that in the big leagues yet, but he had 98 in his first start against Pittsburgh. Turns one over, 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's pitching a heck of a game too. We're getting caught up in the 98, and justifiably so. Ronaldo Lopez has been outstanding, but if a fly ball is caught, this is a 1-1 game. He's doing his thing too, just not as flashy.
1-1 to Bryce. And a slow roller left side over to cut it off. Garcia. Bryce Harper hustling for a hit, but he's out.
Pretty close at first base, I thought. Good hustle by Bryce. Chris Spire's not moving, so obviously he was out. But you like the hustle by Bryce. Smelling the hits, putting his head down, going hard, stretching across the base. Just gets him. It just hits the front of the base, and that's why he stumbled. Love the hustle.
Hard 90 right there. Here's Rendon. He hit that fly ball Kemp dropped, and then took a called third strike, leading off the fourth. Nats box. Turner a base hit. Harper the walk. The 2 guys on when that ball was dropped. And then in the 5th, doubles, 2 outs apart by Severino, and Jason Worth extending his on base streak to 46 games. That's about it. Ball 3 now to Anthony Rendon with 1 out, 6th inning. Clint Robinson next.
Get you a good one, let it fly.
On the edge, 3-2. Braves bullpen getting busy. Jose Ramirez. Full count to Rendon now with 1 out. On a pitch up. That's a fair ball. Wrestled down by Garcia. He got him. Way behind the bag, and then a very long throw. 2 outs.
When you talk to Braves people, they say Adonis at third base is probably the most improved defender they have. He makes highlight reel play after highlight reel play. Has really turned into a solid defensive third baseman. Just knocks that down, gets up, and uses that cannon of his right over the top to get Anthony Rendon. Nice play, taking a double away from the Nats third baseman.
Yeah, here's Clint Robinson now. Off speed pitch, strike 1.
You leave Colorado, you think those are going to get down the line. Arenado's not over there anymore.
Yeah, that's a guy who's made 16 errors who just made that play. 0-1 pitch. Many of those, though, early in the season. Two and one. Ryan Zimmerman used to play third base. Hit .500 in his 3 rehab games with Syracuse. Homer, 3 RBIs. Likely the word being thrown around that Ryan Zimmerman and Jose Lobaton will return to active duty tomorrow. So the wrist must be feeling good. Looking forward to seeing Ryan again in this lineup.
He's ready. Call him up.
Him back in there probably puts Trey Turner in center field a lot.
You'd think.
(3-1) pitch. Clint Robinson, good at bat, takes the base on balls. 3rd of the night for Rob Whalen. Danny Espinosa next here in the 6th. Walk and a fly ball. Roger McDowell on the phone to the bullpen. Severino doubled last time up. Maybe that's the guy they have in mind for a new right-hander if the inning continues. Pitch count of 107.
He didn't throw anything straight.
Yeah, there's a lot of darting and late movement going on, isn't there?
Yeah, especially on the fastball. A lot of late sink to it. It runs all over the place. The slider's been commanded to the glove side. Did a nice job.
Espinosa can't reach it. No balls, 2 strikes.
Maybe their version of Tanner Roark. Career high 108 pitches tonight.
Yeah, his first 3 starts, he had gone 98, 92, and 84. 5 innings, 6 innings, and then 5 again. Here against the Pirates at Milwaukee and at Nationals Park. Espinosa makes contact on 0-2 and the ball goes foul. Marlins staged a comeback at Cincinnati. They were down 5-0, but they lose 5-4. So the Nats right now 9-game lead. DeGrom and Bumgarner out in San Francisco tonight. Mets at Giants.
I mean, it's the big leagues. You have to come to play every single night, but I mean, how does Dusty Baker's team stay focused with such a big lead? I mean, you can't take it for granted. You look up, it'll be 4 in a couple days, but still, I mean, with Giancarlo Stanton out, that club obviously not the same.
Yeah, only the Cubs have a bigger lead. They won today, so they're 13 up in their division.
I think that'll be Dusty's biggest challenge here at the end of August and September. I mean, he's as good as anybody getting his team ready to play a game. He'll fire you up. But it's tough as a player when you open up the paper, look on your phone, and see a 9-game lead in the end of August. I mean, there's certain days where your pride's going to take over. You're going to want to get your hits and play hard, but that's a pretty big lead with a lot of games left.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Now Danny Espinosa works it back even. When we come back after the break, Dan will have more on that with his next report.
Is that tease? You're teasing everybody?
Edge of your seats, everyone.
Bass and Dan coming in hot.
Two pitch. Espinosa will pull a ground ball to the right side for Jace Peterson. That's it for the Nats. 3 ground balls around a Clint Robinson walk. 3-1.
Nationals now 7 games into a stretch where they play 20 games in 20 days. I asked Dusty Baker the other day how he balances trying to win every single day while trying to make sure at the same time that his players are still fresh into September and hopefully October. And Dusty said it depends where you are in the standings. It depends on the state of your team's health. And the Nats obviously in a good position at this point, holding a 9-game lead in the division. Dusty's saying if we were 1 game behind or 1 game up, I probably wouldn't be resting guys like I have been lately. But at the same time, he said we want to pad this lead. We haven't won anything yet. We are well aware of that. So overall, Dusty says he tries to talk to guys, see how they're feeling mentally and physically, and then he says you adjust from there. Obviously, having this 9-game cushion, guys, allows Dusty the freedom and the flexibility to give extra days off when they're needed. But he says it's important to talk to his players on a daily basis to see when they need a day and when they don't.
Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting. That's Dan with our Coons.com sideline report. For Reynaldo Lopez, 78 pitches now, 56 strikes, and they just keep on coming.
I think that's what Dusty's best at, is communicate. Asking you how you're feeling. Do you need a day?
3 breaking balls. Digging that one out of the dirt. How did he pop that ball up? Garcia retired by Danny Espinosa. First out, 6th inning. Braves box. Base hit in the first by Garcia. Nothing until the 4th when Kemp doubled with 1 out. Advanced on a pass ball, scored on a sac fly. And that has been it for the Atlanta offense against the 22-year-old rookie. Freddie Freeman 0 for 2 stepping in. He's going to muscle one out to left center. He's digging for 2. Worth the throw. And safe at second base. Freddie Freeman digging right out of the box. If it stands, extra base hit number 60. Close play.
That ball's in the air for a long time, and Jason Worth got over there with a bare hand play and makes a nice throw to second base. But the fact that the ball was in the air so long allowed Freddie Freeman to think about a double. Trey Turner playing real deep into the pull side. So Jason Worth had to come over in the gap and did his foot pop off the bag while Danny's tag was still on him. I think you might take a look at that, right?
Yeah. Came in hard with the front leg. It bounced over the bag.
And then the glove stayed on him, or did it? Ooh.
I mean, it could be a split second to turn that into an out.
That might have to be one of those Exmo deals. Dusty's saying, hold on for a second. I think an Exmo camera, which we don't have on the road, would show it. Maybe the Braves have one. Yeah, they're going to check it.
Nats will challenge the safe call. This could be really interesting.
Was the tag on his thigh? All right, he beats it, right? But before his back foot hits the bag and he kind of jams his knee in there, someone's going to get hurt with these new rules in the replay, by the way. And the tag on him. Hard to tell from those 2 angles. It would have to be the one from center field, this one. Looked like a painful tag, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they just slowed it down on the big video board here, and that front foot was up above the bag for a while, but had the back foot gotten in. So Tom Hallion was on your left there. Phil Cuzzi, who made the call, on the right.
Well, that's a better look at it. This will tell you right here what you need to see, I believe. This is as good as it's going to get. So there's the foot coming off, and is he tagging him before the back foot gets there? I don't think so.
Headsets just adjusted there by Cuzzi, not coming off yet. Well, you never know when you're going to have a chance to use a challenge, so why not now? Getting close to the late innings, trying to protect a 2-run lead, and we're talking about a runner in scoring position.
I don't think it's obvious or definitive. And to turn one over, it's got to be both, right? This whole call is huge. He was safe, so but I've been wrong about 80% of the time this year, so Nats fans are hoping that I'm dead on right now.
Yeah, New York working long and hard on this one. Here they come. Call stands. Nats are out of challenges. Freddie Freeman at second base with one out. Evidently, they weren't convinced the glove was on Freeman in that little in between there.
Right. I think they got it right.
All right, here's Matt Kemp, double last time. That led to their only run. Here's another ball that gets away from Severino on a swing and a miss. That's a wild pitch that time, though. A breaking ball in the dirt. Tough play for Pedro.
Well, now you're pitching for the strikeout to keep it a 2-run lead.
The only infielders, maybe with a play at the plate, the pitcher or Rendon, although Anthony now backing up as we speak. So Matt Kemp seeing a couple of off speeds here. 0-2.
Well, Severino tonight has given Ronaldo Lopez the high target with 2 strikes a few times. And that would work here if you go higher than high, which means above the logo, right around the eyes. See if he'll chase way up there. Or they're going to try to go jammage up and in. Watch, they're going down and in there. Good pitch.
Yeah, great 0-2 pitch.
Not a strike, but a good pitch.
Mercedes-Benz will track it.
I mean, he just missed, but he made Kemp aware of that mid-90s inside. You could double up, go back in there if you want, climb the ladder, or throw the curveball. All 3 work off of that pitch if you execute it.
Rendon's going to look at first base and throw it low. And Clint Robinson just saved the tying run being on base.
Is his foot on the bag?
I would assume the Braves. Yeah, the Braves are looking at this. We're getting the hold it sign from their dugout.
Let's see that. Clint Robinson with a nice pick. Rendon with the short hop. Tough play. Look at that ball come up, and his foot was on the bag. Always looks like it's off in fast motion, doesn't it? Nice play.
Absolutely does.
Kept the tie and run off base and maybe even off second.
Yeah. Here's Nick Markakis now. Base is empty.
So Matt Kemp even on the night, huh? Scored a run, drove one in.
Look at the drop on that curveball. Counts even 1-1. Lopez, by the way, due to bat second in the top of the 7th. Still overpowering some hitters. The ball by Freddie Freeman was not hit that hard. And he's under 90 pitches. And as we've talked about numerous times over the last couple of days, bullpen not exactly fresh coming out of Denver. Strike call, and Markakis knew it. Strikeout number 11 for Reynaldo Lopez. 3-2 Nationals. Late innings upon us.
get right to the good stuff. 3-2 Nats, top of the 7th inning. Ronaldo Lopez has been amazing tonight. Rob Whalen did a nice job for the Braves, but if you were on the streak watch, the on-base streak, Jason Worth tied a franchise record with his 46th consecutive game on base. It was a 3-2 slider. It was the difference in this game right now, 3-2 Nats.
So the Nationals get a little deeper into the pitching staff of the Braves, into the bullpen now for Jose Ramirez, 26-year-old right-hander, who makes his 13th appearance of the year with a 6 ERA, 13 hits, 8 runs in 12 innings, but 14 Ks. Reynaldo does come out on deck. He has thrown 89 pitches. Still a remarkable ratio, 65 strikes. And a ball pop up back behind the plate. Tyler Flowers has it. 1 out, 7th inning. So here comes Reynaldo, who has laid down 2 perfect sacrifice bunts.
He's 3 strikeouts away from tying the Nats rookie strikeout record by guess who?
Who would that be in his major league debut?
Got a chance to do it if he stayed in the game. Probably has to strike out the side.
So a great note sent to us by our stat man extraordinaire, Carter Myers, that his 10 strikeout performance tonight, 10 or more, 20th time a Nat starter has done that. Scherzer 9 times, Strasburg 8, Tanner, Gio, and now Reynaldo have all done it once. He'll hit a ground ball out to short. 2 down. He can go take a breather. Top of the order coming up, Trey Turner. So the 3 games in Colorado, I mean, it's not like the ERA was brutal. 10 hits in a lot of innings over 3 games. Maybe walked a few too many guys, but the Rockies didn't do that much hitting against him, according to Jeep, inside the numbers. So he got a chance to go at least 7 here. Trey Turner facing Ramirez for the first time. That's a chopper left side of the infield. Garcia knows he's got to be in a hurry, and he got him. Trey Turner makes some of the routine plays look so close. Garcia on the move. He's played well tonight.
Friday. It's brought to you by Dominion National. Massa Dan's smiling for everybody, providing innovative, high-value dental and vision benefits to area employers and individuals. Smile, Dan. It's almost Friday.
I mean, we short on fans tonight. Fans and Dan. Bottom 7. We're out of the stretch, and it's Flowers, Peterson, and Swanson 6, 7, 8. Reynaldo Lopez 89 pitches, 65 in the zone. 2 runs, 1 earned on just 3 hits.
Let's see what the youngster has left in the tank.
He's got a pretty good curveball right there. Flowers reaching on an error. Strikeout victim number 9. Another breaking ball, this one hooking left field. Jason Worth can't get there. Ball just not hit hard enough to carry much. Leadoff hit for the Braves, 7th inning. Flare that fell in by Freddie Freeman last inning. Not like anybody scorching the ball against Lopez right now.
I wonder what the adjustment's like for the Nats outfielders after playing 3 games in Coors Field and everything coming to you. You know, every blooper travels out there, every fly ball goes deep, and now tonight the ball not carrying, and we've seen some in the air and fall.
Obviously, the phone rang in the bullpen. Scurrying to work, they are out there. Here's Jace Peterson. Strikeout and a walk. Blake Trinan up in an instant. Peterson lays down a bunt, bunts it pretty hard. That'll get the job done for the tying run to second base as the Braves approach the bottom of their lineup.
Interesting call here. I was wondering if he was going to bunt. I didn't think he would for one reason. Dansby Swanson's on deck in his 2nd major league game. Obviously, a lot of confidence in the young shortstop on the tying run along. We'll see how this works.
And they're going to bunt, or rather hit for the pitcher next. Gordon Beckham is on deck. So they take their first shot with Swanson. 2 for 6 as a big leaguer, 0 for 2 tonight.
Guy that uses the whole field. He'll go up the middle the other way, opposite field kind of hitter. Handful of home runs in the minor leagues.
Fastball right high, and that gets the pop-up. Daniel Murphy. 2 outs.
P-Nats are at the Fitz tomorrow night. Highlights include a celebrity appearance from WWE Hall of Famers. Rikishi on Friday. I don't know what the heck that is. Gio Gonzalez and a dog. Switch bobblehead giveaway. Anyways, there's lots of good stuff going down there, even if I don't know what's going on. Do you know what that is? I don't. Just throw it in front of me. I mean, they could have anything on there and I'll read it.
I think it all adds up to a lot of fun at the Fitz.
Yeah. If the big league broadcasters have no clue.
Gordon Beckham, as a pinch hitter, is 2 for 10 with a homer, 2 RBIs. Lopez, the breaking ball, up high. Tying run still at second base here. 2 out, 7th inning. Well blocked by Severino. One more out to go 7 for the 2nd straight time.
One more out to qualify for a win.
Held on to the fastball too long, 3-0.
The legs might be given a little bit here in the 7th.
Right in there, 3-1.
A lot of effort to strike out as many hitters as he's done tonight.
True.
So he needs to make a few more good pitches, maybe one more. Let's see.
Walked him, and now the lead runs on base. Lopez, second walk of the night. Mike Maddox, so no pitching change for the moment. Inciarte, the next batter.
Well, Dusty Baker's bullpen's on fumes. He's trying to get Ronaldo through this 7th inning. Mike Maddox can go out there and ask him what he's got left in the tank. You got one more in you, big boy?
Be facing a hitter he's retired 3 times. Ground ball, 1st inning. Strikeout swinging 3rd inning. Fly ball to left, 5th inning by the 0 for 3 Ender Inciarte.
And I think if Dusty Baker had a lefty, he'd probably be thinking about it right here. But with Sammy Solis on the DL and Ali Perez working real hard in Colorado, this is all Ronaldo Lopez.
Well, that's a good fastball. Inside edge. Inciarte didn't like it. What does the Nissan pitch track think? Most of the ball inside the box. Right there again.
Inciarte fuming right now. Right on top of the first pitch, right? Same spot, both in the box.
And now he's getting a return reaction from the umpire.
Well, they don't like it when you turn around and yell at them. We've seen Daniel Murphy have conversations with him, but I'm sure right now Tom Hallion looking for a strike after that. He doesn't look too happy, does he?
27-year veteran behind the plate tonight. 0-2 pitch. And he gets the ground ball. Murphy, Inciarte, about halfway to first, tossing his bat in disgust. He might be surprised when he goes back and looks at the replay of those pitches. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals.
So a little drama between innings, and you had a feeling if Ender Inciarte got called third, he was out of this game. But he and Tom Hallion had a little discussion. He was way up the first baseline. Tom Hallion's back at home plate. He was looking at him. He said, "That's enough. Knock it off." And Inciarte kept talking to him. You're thinking one more word and he's out of here. He's standing. You can't see on the outfield grass behind first base. And then Brian Snitker came out. I thought did a nice job of keeping his player in the game. And Tom Hallion told the Braves manager, "Hey, I told him enough is enough. And if he says one more thing, he's out of here." They had a friendly conversation. Watch Tom Hallion. He tells him, "I told him enough is enough."
Yeah, you always wonder what a player will think later, because you know he's going to go back and look at the replay of that at bat, and he's going to see two perfect pitches that were thrown to him. So Arodys Vizcaino off the DL, back into the bullpen for the Braves. 10 saves earlier this year. Right oblique had him out for 30 games. For the Nats, Worth, Murphy, Harper. Top of the 8th.
The one thing you would like to see your player do, and hey, it's heat of the moment, tying runs on second base, is throw that first call away, because that's a very important at bat in a ball game, right? Bottom of the 7th, tying run on second base. Even if you thought it wasn't a strike, you know, you'll see veteran guys that have been around a lot turn the page and say, "Hey, okay, whatever on that pitch. I got a big at bat right here. I can't let that bother me." And obviously, you let it affect him. It's easy to say up here, but when you're competing down there, it's hard to do. But the good ones do it. The real good ones.
Inciarte 0 for 4 tonight. Sean Kelly for the ace, so the bullpen's all set up. Worth takes one in there at the knees. Jason Career 2 for 2 against 25-year-old Arodys Vizcaino.
Yeah, it's different players, different temperaments, but I've seen Ryan Zimmerman in big situations have a bad call go and get some minutes. All he does is kind of turn his head a little bit like, okay, I still got a big pitch left, and doesn't let him affect the call affect the rest of his at bat. And that guy might be just as good right there.
Worth a high chopper over by the line. If it stays fair, it's a hit. It stops. And Jason Worth is 2 for 4.
That's a beautiful thing for a hitter. Stay hot, Jason Worth. When you're going good, you're going good. The swinging chopper off the plate. Watch it just sit. If you're struggling as a hitter, that spins and rolls foul. All day, every day. When you're locked in, it sits right there, and you get yourself a pretty little single.
Hey, who says the opposing players can't have a chop in this ballpark now and then? So it's Murphy, a rare 0 for 3, stepping in. 0 for 1 career against Vizcaino. Nats have their leadoff man aboard. Each team with 4 hits.
No, I have no idea. I guess there's nothing left to do but howl. I have no idea what's going on. Does this replace the tomahawk chop?
I don't know.
Just wail like a banshee?
That's a pretty vertical power zone by Murphy. He can get to the high pitch and golf the low ones out of here. 1-0. Strike call.
That makes me want to do it with him, but I won't.
Please use the cough button if you do.
You know, that's just rain delay and adult beverages is all that is.
Murphy takes one down and in. We're not tossing and turning tonight after hearing this.
Oh, the sixth grader in me loves it.
2-1. Our DC Lexus dealers donate $250 to the Children's National Health System every time the National hits a home run this year. 159 of them. It's for a great cause from Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. Murphy takes it. Close pitch, 3-2. How big would it be to have two men aboard for Harper? Bryce has been aboard and scored a run tonight. Worth a short lead. He's running, then he stops on the foul ball. Took about 4 or 5 steps.
Yeah, I think another challenge for Dusty Baker is going to be keeping Daniel Murphy fresh down the stretch. A guy who's grinded out every single pitch, every at bat all year. But he's going to have some like personal goals if things stay the way they are that he probably wants to reach too. So juggling that whole thing.
Worth is running. Murphy levels off and fouls that 3-2 pitch away.
If I could mic up one player in the major leagues, it'd be the guy you're looking at right now.
Sure. All night.
Well, every night. I wish we could.
Worth stops. Murphy, what an at bat for the walk right there. Yeah, and then he'll turn around and leave his bat for the bat boy. I thought he was going to take it all the way to first. The Nationals have 2 men on, nobody out for Bryce Harper.
Should we take a look at Bryce Harper's home run yesterday, number 21, 461 feet of homer. That was an easy swing, wasn't it? Just smoothed it out there right over the Jackie Robinson retired number. Upper deck, over the bullpen, close to straightaway center, just to the right of center. Furthest home run of the year for the Nats, 461. And the Braves fans do not like their pitching coach.
Well, Bryce could provide some real separation here in the late innings. Nationals lead 3-2. 2-3-4 coming up for the Braves in the bottom of the inning against Sean Kelly. Yeah, a little bit later tonight now. With a rain delay, we didn't start the game till 8:26, so a 1 hour and 16-minute delay. We play in the 8th. It's been a well-played, well-pitched game for the most part. One big error, though, by the Braves' Matt Kemp. Huge. Where the Nats are taking some close pitches here, and it's 2-0.
Grinding out at-bats, making you work.
Last couple of years, Bryce's numbers against the Braves. Career came into this game at 273. 15 and 35. Lots of damage the last 2 seasons.
Jason Worth trying to get a rolling start at second base. He was thinking about going. Vizcaino had to step off.
Two on the Harper. Close. One pitch from loading the bases now. So right-handers Mauricio Cabrera, Madison Youngner. Left and right, respectively, there, the two righties.
Gear up for a heater right down the middle.
Vizcaino, first appearance off the DL. Way outside, bases loaded. Nobody out. Next up, Anthony Rendon.
Got a little bit of a snowball fight going here. Got to make him throw strikes.
Righty-righty matchup. Rendon career 0 for 2.
He's still hunting a fastball right down the middle here. This isn't an automatic take situation by any means.
Yeah, there it is. 98. Moving in on Anthony.
I think when he saw it out of the hand, it was a strike, but that arm side run took it to the inner half of the plate. He was thinking grand slam.
It hit him, and the Nationals lead 4-2. Anthony Rendon. Tough way to get RBI number 56. The fans love it. The dugout doesn't on the first base side. So 4 straight batters get on base. Only one had to hit the ball.
Yeah, he can't let Vizcaino pitch anymore. He's all over the place. Snicker coming out to get him. Has to.
The Nationals still have the bases loaded. Clint Robinson is next. On MASN, brought to you by University of Maryland, University College, and by Dominion. Depend on us for more than energy. Centennial Park, downtown Atlanta. About 3 o'clock this afternoon would have felt really good to run right through that. Here's Mauricio Cabrera Nats saw him a little bit in the series last weekend. 4 hitters did, 22 years of age. He can bring it. 24th appearance.
Guess what his fastball averages?
I'll say 99.
Nope.
Higher?
You're wrong. Triple digits, 100.
Yikes.
Curveball 85.
I just
Change
couldn't
up.
guess that.
Change up 91. Yeah, you could have. Just did. Triple digits. So gear up. Go get him.
Then Robinson did face him. Hit a ground ball. Clint as a starter tonight, 0 for 2 with a walk. Cabrera with all that gas, doing a good job of stranding inherited runners. Robinson looking to elevate, and there's 100. Murphy walked after the Worth base hit. Harper walked. Anthony Rendon got RBI number 56 when a fastball glanced off his upper arm. Robinson will just drop one into right in front of Nick Markakis. Everybody moves up 90 feet, and the Nationals lead 5-2. That's Clint Robinson's 11th RBI in his last 18 games as a starter.
I'll tell you what, every time he gets a chance to start, he makes something happen offensively. And that's no small feat right there. Triple digits, gets the head out, drills it into right in front of Nick Markakis. Everybody had to go station to station. So nice at bat, Clint Robinson. 5-2 Nats.
There's Danny Espinosa facing Cabrera for the first time. That's nasty. Backhand stop. Tyler Flowers with the mitt.
What are we looking at here? What's going on? See if it hit him.
So is this a manager's request for a crew chief's review?
Yeah. Trying to get the replay guy out there. They're grabbing a hot dog. Here they come. What are we looking at to see here? If it hit him in the foot? Well, that's close.
Wow, that's real close.
Is it definitive though? I know Danny Espinosa, he'd be running to first if it hit him. He's not going to stick around. The dirt hit his foot. I don't think the ball did. He'd take that RBI if it hit him in the foot. Trust me.
Sure.
Yeah, he told the story here, I think. Dugout looking at the big screen. Tom Hallion looking at the big screen. Looked like it hit him on the jumbo screen here, but on a replay, no shot.
Yeah, I don't know. Live, almost an impossible call to make.
I mean, Danny's going to first if it hits him. That's all. I don't even need to watch the replay. I know he would trot down there and drop his bat. But I don't think that's a factor if you're in Chelsea, New York right now. They're just trying to see if it hit him.
There was a time, of course, before replay and all that, first thing the umpire might do would be to check the ball for shoe polish. It's been known to happen here and there.
This is a 2 toothpick review for sure. Bryce pulling his hair out at third, waiting for the review.
Bryce hasn't done damage with the bat tonight, but he's done it with his knowledge of the strike zone and batting eye. A couple of walks, a run scored, maybe another run here.
There we go. Survey says
we're still watching a Cabrera Espinosa matchup. .224
of our lives that
for
will
nothing to happen.
We'll never have back again. It's a good try. It was a run, right?
A run that would put the Nats in slam range. Leading by 3 right now, nobody out. Danny Espinosa able to hold. And the count 2-0. Vizcaíno, 21 pitches, 9 strikes to not come close to retiring a batter. And now young Mauricio Cabrera trying to clean up the mess. Danny Espinosa, good job of laying off a couple of high pitches. Now 3-0.
You're probably taking all the way right here, you'd think. Hasn't been near yet.
Nationals lead 6-2.
I mean, there wasn't a hard take in that at bat.
So Danny does collect RBI number 58.
Third walk of the inning and add a hit by pitch in there. So 4 free base runners this inning for the Nats.
And so far 2 of them have scored. Another one standing on third. Here's Pedro Severino. So he gets the touch pitch, the slider in there for a strike. Severino 1 for 3 with a double, a run scored back in the 5th. That's off the glove of Flowers. And now it's 7-2. Pass ball called.
But do you remember when Cabrera came in at Nats Park? I said, if you throw 100 and throw strikes, you're in the minor leagues for 4 seconds. That was a cross-up right there. And you have to get him in the zone. And tonight, the Nats are doing a real good job of making him throw strikes. And Tyler Flowers out to the mound. They got crossed up. He wanted another curveball. He threw him fastballs. Trying to figure it out.
Braves manager Brian Snitker watching a very ugly inning. 7th man up there. 2 have made contact.
Depends what side you're looking at it if you think it's an ugly inning.
Or a beautiful thing on one side.
He got a swinging bunt. Brandon Murphy grinded it out for a walk. And Bryce Harper had a pretty easy take walk. Anthony Rendon hit by a pitch. Clint Robinson turning 100 around. And then Danny Espinosa with the 4-pitch walk.
Well, right off the end of Severino's bat, checking to make sure it didn't fracture at all. Wilmer Defoe in the number 9 spot. Sean Kelly's been warmed up for the 8th inning forever. 1-2 pitch, well hit and foul.
Well, this kid's got a good swing. Real good swing.
Well, you talked yesterday after the home run about the lack of moving parts and how he gets to the ball in a hurry.
Yeah, he just tucks his front knee and goes. There's not a lot of stuff going on there, and he has tremendous bat speed. Going to be a good one. See why everybody in the organization is so excited about him.
Two Nationals. And he'll bounce one to the right side. Nobody advancing. And that ball booted and now safe at first. Jace Peterson on a pretty innocent looking play. Braves' second error tonight.
You see Peterson peek up to see if Clint Robinson was going in third, but he was holding, and that little peek at the end was the difference. And Severino hustling down the line, gets to first base, and the Braves are not going to put this inning on their highlight reel.
Wilmer Defoe gets the pinch hitting call here.
And that's as nice as I can put it.
He had a base hit against Cabrera in DC. This fly ball near the left field line. Under it, Matt Kemp. He'll just kind of hold on to the ball as Robinson took a few steps down the third base line, 1 out.
You can follow all this amazing action live with MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, and StatCast. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet.
8th National to bat in the 8th, Trey Turner. Actually the 9th man now. This all started with the Jason Worth third base chop. One for 4 tonight, a steal, a run.
There's an app called Beat the Streak where you pick a hitter every night. If he gets a hit, you know, you have a streak on the little game you play. You can double down, pick 2 hitters and double your streak. I think Jason Worth should do that tomorrow. He should be able to double down on a streak.
Turner gets under one, hits it out to left. Kemp checking his surroundings, catches it on the track. Scoring easily from third, Robinson. Espinosa into third base. 8-2 Washington.
That little fast kid's got pop. He almost went grand salami right there, and that would have definitely been a home run yesterday in Colorado, and he'll settle for a sac fly to make it 8-2. But that was a good at-bat by Trey Turner. Get some love from Clint Robinson, who knocked in a run. But I like to use the term buggy whip with Trey. He's one of those guys that just has long, loose limbs and lets it rip. And you're wondering, right?
For a moment.
I was.
Chris Heisey will hit for Jason Worth here. And Jason's been on base twice tonight. Game approaching blowout status, and Dusty getting him off his feet and giving Chris Heisey an AB and some action in the field.
Trey Turner's that young kid that steps up to the tee box that's real skinny and says, "Can I play with you?" And you say, "Okay." And he grabs his driver out and he hits it 320 right down the middle. And you're like, how did you do that?
So many things he can do. So here's Heisey and a 1-0 pitch, and we've just seen so many pitches in this inning. A couple that have been thrown away and a couple more almost. Strike call.
Without getting too critical, we are very lucky that we get to call games for this ball club every night, because I can't imagine.
The timing of your arrival in D.C. was very good.
I know, right?
I will add to your point by giving you that caveat.
You've seen something like this, is what you're trying to say. Back in the day, yeah.
And a lot of it at the hands of this ball club.
I'm a lot like Dusty. I've had a horseshoe follow me around my whole life. Guys are having fun. They should be.
2-2 to Chris Heisey. And this ball out of play right side. 24,099 were paid here tonight. Just I don't know, 1,000 or 2 remaining. Rain delayed. Now their team on the short end of a lopsided score. Braves are 13th out of 15 teams in the National League in attendance. Opening their new ballpark, SunTrust Park, next year. Heisey, left side, looks playable. The pitcher doesn't get in everybody's way. And so Cabrera gets out of there so Garcia can make the grab. A crazy 5-run 8 for the Nats.
From the get-go tonight, Reynaldo Lopez set the tone for this game. Out of the chute, throwing 98. The curveball was electric, had some serious hair on it, and so did the fastball, which was filthy, rotten, and unhittable at times. So 7 innings, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts, gave up just 4 hits through 101 pitches, 73 of them for strikes. Very, very impressive, and I think that might be an understatement.
Yeah, 6 outs away from being 2-1 as a big leaguer, and doing quite well against a ball club that just saw him 5 days ago. I mean, they had some tape and some firsthand live impressions of him. And here comes Sean Kelly against Garcia, Freeman, and Kemp, bottom of the 8th.
I think he finessed the Braves on the 13th, and today he overpowered them.
Chris Heisey stays in for Jason Worth in left. Donis Garcia 1 for 3 tonight. One of only 4 hits given up by Reynaldo Lopez. .44 innings, 66 strikeouts, 35 hits, 13 earned runs. He goes up and gets one, trying to drop it into right center, and Trey Turner has the answer with the speed out there.
This running catch got a good jump. Kind of outran the baseball. You'd think that one was going to drop, and Trey Turner just shows up out of nowhere. Watch the jump, top of your screen. Good read, and now I'm going to go get it. Not a problem. I always thought when you went from the infield to the outfield, it was just relaxing. It was almost like a day off. Jim Johnson getting loose in the Braves bullpen.
A closer who needs some work.
There's so much going on as a middle infielder when Trey plays second or short. You need coverages on steals, bunt defenses, first and third Ds, turn and double plays. You're into every single pitch. And then you go in the outfield, you just chill. Look in the stands, check out people. Moves a lot slower out there than it does in the infield.
1-2 pitch. Freddie Freeman takes it low. When he doubled just 2 innings ago with 1 out, went to third on a wild pitch and scored on a grounder, it was a 1-run game. A 41 pitch 8th inning by the Atlanta bullpen took care of that. It's a good looking pitch, no call. 3-2. Mercedes-Benz will have a look. If it's low on pitch track, probably well out of the zone. Freeman, a swing and a miss. That strike Freddie out for the second time tonight.
Maybe thinking about the fastball in where they've been going pretty much all night long. Sean Kelly decides to go the other side of the plate with some run on it to get Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, kind of interesting. That's the first time they ever faced each other right there. So here's Matt Kemp, 1 for 3 with a double, a run, and an RBI ground ball.
Can't imagine what's going through Freddie Freeman's mind. I mean, he's played in this ballpark where it's been packed. Playoff games, tomahawk chop going on. Electric atmosphere. Now the team's scuffling so bad, fans aren't turning out. You can understand why, but for 2012, the Nets had trouble beating the Braves. And when we came here, it was an electric atmosphere, and Freddie Freeman's seen it from that too. You know, obviously they get to play in a new ballpark next year. That'll be fun, but can't imagine what's going through his mind.
One. Front door breaking ball, and Kelly makes it unhittable for Matt Kemp.
Yeah, backed up. Worked out nicely.
To the right side, Murphy couldn't get there, and Matt Kemp will sneak one into right field. 2 for 4 night. Both of his hits the other way. Tanner Roark and Julio Teheran tomorrow night. Tanner looking for number 14. 5-1 against the Braves with a 1.73 ERA. Julio Teheran was their opening day starter. Nats know him very well. Look at Roark getting double play balls, making plays himself. We definitely believe he's a candidate for the pitcher's Gold Glove this year. We'll get you going a little later tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Nats Extra with Johnny and Ray.
And hopefully the game itself starts a little earlier tomorrow.
Here's Nick Markakis, 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts, a sac fly. No Sean Kelly well, 3 for 5 career. RBI. Foul ball, and the count's even here in the 8th.
Love watching Sean Kelly pitch. He's grinding like it's a 3-2 game out there right now. Every time he takes the ball, he has a purpose. Close game, blowout, you couldn't tell the difference. Get it and go. Pound the zone. He's a gamer.
Saw his first Nationals action in this park back in April. Ball pulled, base hit, right field. Markakis first of the night. Braves have 2 on 2 out with their catcher Tyler Flowers coming up. First time tonight they've had 2 hits in an inning. The Nats have done that twice. So Anthony Recker, their other catcher, will hit for Flowers here.
Mike standing on Greg's mound. Did Maddox rip away one of those numbers out there, Greg?
Don't know if he's done that yet. I have a feeling who will take it from 1 to 0.
If you think Hank
It's
Aaron,
got to be Henry.
he already did. He did number 44. I think.
I'd bring him back.
Yeah, I'd bring him back.
44 and 0 equals 44.
There you go.
Yeah, they've had some great tradition here, and just to the north of us at old Fulton County Stadium. They had some bad ball clubs over there, but they were turning things around about the time they moved here.
I'd have Sid Bream be the last one.
Sid Bream, the most famous slide in Braves history.
Barry Bonds, for some reason, playing on the warning track.
Andy Van Slyke insists to this day that he tried to get Bonds to move in a couple of steps and he was ignored.
I remember watching that game at home thinking, why is Barry Bonds playing so deep right here when he has to be in a position to throw out Sid Bream at home? They showed the high home shot. I'm like, he's too deep.
And he made a good throw, but he was too deep.
He was 300 feet away.
Anthony Recker, 15 for 50 as a Brave.
Or Bobby Cox.
Hitting 300.
Either one of those two.
Kelly gets up and in to jam him, and the count's 1 and 2.
A lot of NL East championships won in this ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, the streak started next door and then just roared right into here from 97 on.
Did.
Up and away, 2-2.
I like the old one better. I like Fulton County Stadium better than this park. I mean, it's a good park. Don't get me wrong, a lot of good memories for Braves and Braves fans here, but I like the old yard better. Yeah,
there
that
it is.
one, yeah, that was a fun place to play. Ball flew there too. Launching pad. That's what they called it, right?
Yep. And this, of course, an Olympic stadium converted for baseball. In there, inning over, Sean Kelly gets the customary 2 strikeouts per inning. It seems like he does that a lot. To the 9th, it's all Washington. To the summer school around the corner, who cares? They're at the yard. Their team is on top, 8-2. Johnny and Ray, they're staying up late with the Nats Extra postgame show. After this one's over, it's presented by WB Mason. Jim Johnson, former Oriole, 33 years of age. Since Baltimore, stops in Oakland, Detroit, the Braves, to the Dodgers, now back to the Braves. And this year his 45th appearance. 42 Ks in 43 innings. He does have 10 saves. First up against him, Daniel Murphy, who was 0 for 4 against the right-hander. Murphy 0 for 3 night with a walk and a run scored in that crazy 8th inning.
Yeah, Murphy will see a pretty good two-seam fastball at 93, curveball and a changeup. Curves a slow one in the 70s.
Ball, a lot of fade on it at the end.
Okay.
Mark Melancon.
Namaste.
He had quite a save in Colorado the other night. Not far from Golden.
That's making me hurt.
Where he went to high school.
I think I just pulled something watching this.
Two and one. On a pitch up, Murphy, a rocket up the middle. Dansby Swanson, all right. We've heard a lot about him. That's a pretty good play. Real good play.
Got some good glove work here by the Braves shortstop, stealing a knock from Daniel Murphy, who hits a rocket one hopper back up the middle into a slide. Nicely done. Plenty of time after he makes the play with the glove. So nice glove work. Unless you're Daniel Murphy.
Bryce Harper 0 for 3 career against Johnson. And he rips one into right over the shift. Bryce Harper on base for the 3rd time tonight. So he'll have a 1 for 3 with 2 walks.
Nice salvage. Checking in with a knock. Joining, I was going to say the hit party, but I just looked up. There's only 6.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the 8th inning.
Yeah, that was a snowball fight. And Bryce Harper, look at this. This is beating the shift just over the top. The only place it could drop. Nicely done.
Anthony Rendon 0 for 3. Hit by a pitch, got an RBI 2 innings ago, actually last inning. So the Nats to this point, 18 runs in their last 2 games. Rendon backing away from a high fastball. High strike. In the last 3 games against Atlanta pitching, 24 runs. Takes a breaking ball, 3-1.
Anthony trying to do the same thing Bryce just did, check in late.
Well, he's going to be on base for the second time in terms of the stat getting on base, but on for the third time after that drop fly ball. The Nationals have been given 6 walks by the Braves and a hit batter tonight.
I think he thought it was a strike. He hung around for a little bit.
Clint Robinson on base twice, a walk and RBI hit. First career at bat against Jim Johnson. That's about to beat the Braves for the 9th time in 10 games this year. It would be 3-0 here. And Robinson takes one right down the middle, ball 1.
There have been a few pitches in the last sequence. The ball 40, Anthony Rendon was close. This was real close. He'll take it. Gotta be hacking here though when you take one close.
Got a breaking ball. Pop up on the infield. Infield fly rule in effect. Caught by Swanson, 2 outs. Next up, Danny Espinosa. 0 for 2. Pair of walks. One of those for an RBI. Off the table curveball, strike 1.
Yeah, that was top of the zone and bottom of the zone all at once.
Sure seemed like it. All right. Recker and Johnson, new battery, trying to get together. A.J. Cole might get a little work in the 9th inning. Mark Melancon done stretching and ready if Dusty goes that way.
What, 6-run lead? It's Melancon. 7-run lead. It's
Yeah, you usually don't warm up your closer unless he's definitely going to pitch. Sometimes they sit down when your team scores a bunch of runs, but Nats are already up by a bunch when Mark started his routine. One and two. High fastball. Danny lays off.
going back to that curve after that. He's trying to change your eye line.
Two. Now it goes full. So Dusty's ball club on the verge of adding another half game on to that lead over Miami. Mets, by the way, scored 4 at San Francisco and then gave up 5 That doesn't sound like DeGrom and Bumgarner, does it?
No.
3-2 pitch. Look at that nasty curveball. Nationals will strand 7 runners tonight, but they will score 8 times on 6 hits. Not a save situation, obviously, but a get some work situation for Mark Melancon, the Nats closer.
Fastball, low 90s. He'll cut the fastball. Curveball 12-6 and sharp. 53rd appearance for Mark. ERA at 1.48. 45 strikeouts on the year, and opponents at just 195. Righties 181.
And so since coming to the Nats, appearance number 8. For the Braves, Chase Peterson, Dansby Swanson, and then either Chase d'Arnaud or Jeff Francoeur in the bottom of the 9th.
And Melancon 4 saves with the Nats and 4 appearances just to stay sharp. And it shows you how things have gone recently with the offense.
Jace Peterson tonight, strikeout, walk, a sacrifice. 0 for 1 career against Melancon with a base on balls, and here goes Mark to work.
I think pretty much everybody that's still here has red on. I see Nats gear everywhere.
Yeah, I noticed last inning, kind of funny as the game goes on, fans rooting for our ball club making their way down toward that third base dugout. Like to get an up close look at their heroes when this one is over.
Probably last summer vacation, coming down to Atlanta for the weekend, sticking out the whole game. I like it. Some are a little bit sleepy.
Just be alert for foul balls when there's a left-handed batter in there. And Melancon misses up high, 3-1.
A little sleepy. Mark Melancon has to provide his own adrenaline tonight somehow, some way.
Throws a strike, and the count is full.
Rick's fired up.
Off the plate. On a fly though to Murphy, and he'll get it. Fortunately not in the air that long, and Daniel able to grab it. Tomorrow night, Tanner Roark looking for number 14. Great ERA, great ratio, hard to hit. So's Julio Teheran, but he's suffering through a 3-9 season with the same ERA that Tanner Roark has. A little later tomorrow night, Nats Extra 7 o'clock. First pitch 7:40. After FP and I join you from the booth. Actually 7:35 after we join you from the booth at 7:30.
Should be a little cooler here tomorrow night than it was in Tanner Roark's last start.
There's that cutter by Melanson a little bit outside to Dansby Swanson. That's perfect on the outside edge. Swanson tonight 0 for 3. That is Chase d'Arnaud to hit for the pitcher. Big time drop on the curve, but it was inside.
I'll tell you what, Lopez was so impressive tonight. I mean, you talk about a pitcher grabbing the ball and setting the tone right from the first pitch of the game. I mean, it was coming out easy, 97, 98, curveball was sharp, quick and late, throwing it for strikes early in the count. I mean, Dusty Baker has to be fired up on what he saw from his right-hander tonight. Easy 98, blowing guys away. Struck out 8 in the first 3 innings. Definitely the story of this ball game.
Looked like a swing. 2 outs as Swanson goes down, his first offer in the big leagues. And it'll be d'Arnaud with 2 outs in the 9th.
I don't think they have curves this sharp in the minor leagues. This is filthy. Can't hold up. Went a little too far.
d'Arnaud 250 and 68 games for the Braves this year. He's been a good pinch hitter for them, 7 for 18.
Crazy good numbers as a pinch hitter.
He's got a lot of action on his pitches tonight.
Yeah, if you're 7 for 18 as a pinch hitter, that's good, right? But then you're a pinch hitter.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, but then you're a pinch hitter.
I know.
You're too valuable to start.
It's a game of labels. You get one, it's hard to shed it, isn't it?
You're right.
I've been told that many times over the years by guys who would love to play every day, but if they're pretty good in part-time action, managers count on them to do that.
It's a good way to stay around for a long time, though.
It is. Nats trying to win their 71st game of the year and get back to 22 over. A season high 9.5 game lead in the division for grabs right here. 2-2 and a base hit to right. That'll get it to Ender Inciarte.
Nice piece of hitting by Chase d'Arnaud. 2 strikes, shortened up, went to right. 8 for 19 as a pinch hitter now.
Yeah. He's never starting again.
Nope.
After that.
You're a pinch hitter. Veterans will say that to you. Hey, nice job. Way to swing it. Guess what? You're a pinch hitter now.
You guys are brutal to each other. Ender Inciarte 0 for 4. with the runner on the move, a foul ball out of play. Tonight is the 60th Atlanta Braves home game. They have won 18.
I don't know what percentage that is. I'm just going to say not good.
I don't know if any baseball fan wants to hear that percentage, whether you like the Braves or not. That's outside 101. Down to second goes d'Arnaud. A couple dozen people love it. One pitch. Bouncing ball right side. Murphy has it. So do the Nats. 2 minutes before midnight. After a 1 hour and 16-minute rain delay, Mark Melancon nails it down. Gives up a base hit. Got some work. Reynaldo Lopez brilliant tonight. And the Nats have beaten the Atlanta Braves 9 times out of 10 this year. Washington